Dave here from Ripple Rock Consulting and our continuation of mental skills development. How to use the mind to increase performance and enjoyment levels in sport. Today's topic is maintaining activation. So in one of the previous sessions, we worked on the whole notion of how you build an optimal performance state. So pre-training and pre-racing work. So the work that was done sort of from perhaps 48 hours out to right till the gun goes. And today we will talk about maintaining that optimal performance state. So really the word we use when we're talking about good mind-body connection is activation. It's the amount of mind and body connection that is created in order to produce optimal levels of performance. And so if we can get ourselves into that state just prior to the start of a race, then the question becomes, what are the tools that we use in order to maintain it? So one of the tools that we use in maintaining optimal performance states is the notion of trying to create a very carefree mental state. And so that mental state, I don't know if you can hear Elliot in the background there, but he wants to be fed, but he's already been fed twice today, so he's not getting any more food. So the notion of trying to produce that carefree state is created by letting go of everything that's not within our control. And so a nice model that I use in many aspects of life and in sport is this notion of managing the mess, I call it. So what we have is we have a world. And in both cases, the world is the same place. I just call it my mess, right? And then in both cases, we have a me. And they're exactly the same. So here's me in relationship to my mess. And you can see I'm caught. I'm in this kind of almost triggered place of high emotion and maybe a lot of unnecessary thinking and unnecessary effort that's going on. So we call this fused. That's the state that we're in here. And over here, where I've created a bit more of a carefree environment, we call ourselves differentiated. So we've let go of the mess. Now I still have to go work on my mess, but I have freedom or a sense of carefree or a sense of peacefulness between me and my mess. Same mess, same me, just a different relationship to the mess. And so if we can think about training hard and if we can think about racing in that way, that can be advantageous. So we're going to go and we're going to have a great workout. We're going to go and we want to have a great race. And so I can't be fused to it. I can't be worried about it. I can't be doubting it. I can't get super nervous about it. I can't compare myself to other people. I've just got to go and look after my training session or look after my race on my terms. So what I want to do is I want to do my best work. I want to manage myself well, and that would include the management of some mistakes because I'm going to make a few. Always in sport, there's little mistakes that are made, and if we manage them well, they don't matter. There's never a perfect race. There's never a perfect training session. And so we get really good at managing the little mistakes well. We stop worrying or doubting because if we make one, we just fix it and move on. So the next model really begins to look at me and my relationship to all of these things that can kind of create problems. So here I am, young girl in this case. She happens to be an equestrian rider because she's got a horse. Where's her horse? Her horse can get inside her little bubble. And that's where she is. She's in this little bubble. And so what she decides prior to training and what she decides prior to racing is who she wants to be. And this is complicated in terms of the number of things that she wants to be. So it's a good reminder, sort of 48 hours out, 24 hours out, 12 hours out, 2 hours out, that there's a state to which I can find myself, which would include a great number of things. So she wants her big 8, calm, relaxed, grounded, centered, positive, patient, effort, focus. She wants to be carefree. She wants to have great energy. She wants to be determined. She's going to need to be accurate. She's going to need to be brave in order to do her work. She's going to have to overcome lots of challenges in order to do her work. And she sees herself as being the person that can do that. And then what she does is she puts on her little bubble there, which protects her from all of the things that are outside of her control. So that would be her horse in her case, or you, the course that you're skiing, the weather, the snow conditions, your competition. You have no control over your coach. You have no control over a tremendous number of things. And they all want to get in there, and they all want to ruin the bubble. You may be tired, you may be injured, you may have lots of stress happening in other aspects of your life. You've got to keep it all outside of your bubble. That's your job as an athlete. So we have this intrinsic world to which we have control. I decide who I'm going to be. We have this extrinsic world, things that we have no control over, and my job is to keep all of those things out of there. Another way to look at that is the notion of the things I have control over and the things I have no control over. So the things I have control over, it's a relatively short list, right? And so that list includes rest, sleep, nutrition, hydration, number 1 and number 2 on the why you don't perform well list, by the way. Mental preparation, attitude, equipment, game plan, visualization, warm-up, reactivity. Those are the things you have control over. It's not a very big list, right? And then there's a list like competition, environment, conditions, officials, field of play, schedule, run orders, supplied equipment, delays, little mistakes that you make, all of those kinds of things to which we would say we have no control over. And so the way we look at this model is, here's the list that you have control over, so that's where your energy should be. And here's the list that you have no control over, and that's how much energy you have on it, 0. So you may have to deal with some of these things, but we're not bothered by any of these things. We don't react to any of these things. We keep our focus here. We keep our energy here. We build a race plan. We race our race. We build a training plan. We train our training plan. We let go of all of these things, so we have no energy there, and that keeps us as positive as possible. Positive is one of the things that's on that big 8 list. So here's that list again, which I'm suggesting you all get tattooed onto your forearms so that you can remember these things. This list comes, remember, from hundreds and hundreds of post-competitive debriefs where things didn't go well. And when we determine what are the things that didn't go well, it's usually we didn't stay calm in the mind, we didn't stay relaxed in the body, we lost our ground, and the definition of ground, it is, I like myself, I like what I do, most importantly, I like how I do it. I have a plan, it seems to be working, and I'm going to continue to follow it. Super simple, that's grounded. Centered is my ability to change my mind. And we have to do that lots of times in training and in racing. You got a race plan, begins to fall apart, not a big deal. You go to plan B. And then if necessary, you go to plan C. And if necessary, you go to plan D. Like, you just keep staying centered. Don't be in a hurry to change the plan, but stay grounded and centered so you know when to change the plan in order to get the best result. Number 5 on that list is positive. Number 6 on that list is patience. Remember, patience is so important because it allows us to maintain the 5 things that are above it. And then number 7 on that list is focus, and number 8 on that list is effort. And we've talked about those in the past, and we'll continue to talk about those things in the future, because those are the places to which you can be putting in way too much effort and not getting good results, losing that optimal performance state. You can have way too much focus. Most of the athletes I work with don't seldom suffer from not being focused enough and not putting in enough effort. Occasionally, and maybe more of a problem in training than it is in racing, but usually in racing we are overactivated. We've got too much energy on a bunch of things that are not helping us, and that is wasted energy is what it is. Okay. So, we've done that work just prior to the gun going, and then off we go. And so now your job is, now that you've got yourself into a nice mind-body connection state, you're feeling pretty optimal, you're really looking forward to the race. Now the trick is to kind of like, in some ways, slow it down and keep it simple. And so I love this notion of the symphony. So if we're training or if we're racing, there's going to be a number of things that we're going to do. So think about it as a race unfolding, sort of one hill, one corner, sort of 120 meters at a time. And if what we do is just look after the next 20 meters and then let it go, and then get busy on the next 20 meters and then let it go, and then get up and over that hill and then let it go, and then have a good downhill and let it go, and you got somebody up on the trail ahead of you there and you're trying to reel them in and you pass them, let them go. Or you're skiing your best, you're working your hardest, somebody passes you, let it go. Just get ready for what's next. Let it go. Get ready for what's next. Let it go. Keep it incredibly simple. But what happens sometimes is we make a little mistake or we get past and you have a reaction to that. Steep downhill, icy corner, you don't judge it quite right, wipe out. And then what happens is we negatively respond to that. And that brings us off our optimal performance state line and triggers us. And then if it gets worse, which sometimes it does, we get hooked. If it gets worse, we get flooded. So we've just got to play the symphony one thing at a time. So in this moment where I get past or have that fall or don't ski that hill well, or I'm realizing my technique's not quite right and I just realize that after skiing 5 kilometers, right, and then I kind of finally get it together and it starts making a big difference. All we want to do is let those things go and move on. So we just play the symphony one simple note at a time. When I was training for Ironman, I did a pro clinic with a guy named Scott Tinley. And Scott said he suggested that you do the ride, which is 180 kilometers long. You just ride it 10 meters at a time. So I think there's 1,810 meters in a 180 kilometer race. So Scott just says, ride the next 10 meters, let it go. Ride the next 10 meters, let it go. That's a lot of letting go. And it's that notion of just refreshing yourself over and over and over again. Ski the next 20 meters, let it go. Ski the next 20 meters, let it go. Get up over the hill, let it go. Down through the tight corner, let it go. You got past, let it go. You're gonna pass somebody. Don't let it change things. Just ski your best. Keep your mind where it needs to be, focused on physical, technical, and strategic. Keep your mind sharp. Stay mentally really positive. My football coach in grade 11 and 12 had a great saying, Earl Henderson, which I've carried with me my entire athletic life, and it works for lots of places other than athletics too. And basically he used to say to us, I don't care what you've done, good or bad. All I care about is what you're about to do next. Make a plan, move on. And I think it's a really important way to see the world. It's really the notion of how is it that I do my best? How is it that I continuously find my sense of self, the awareness of my mind and my body, the awareness of what it is that I need to do in this moment, and direct my energy towards that. That's what we call a high performance state. And so we work hard utilizing some of the skills and some of the techniques that your coaches and other athletes have taught you in order to go through that pre-training or pre-race routine. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, get to the start line, excited to go, ready to go, a clean, clear image of what that start's going to look like. The gun goes, now your job is maintenance. You've got to hold that state. And what I say is, don't let it go. Don't let anything in the bubble for any reason. We get sucked in a lot of the time in racing. We compare ourselves. We get bothered by things. Snow conditions, wax isn't holding quite right. As soon as I go negative, as soon as I lose my patience, as soon as I compare and start doubting and worrying, my performance levels are going to go down. That's all we know. And what we also know is it's easily avoidable. Just takes a bit of practice. And you've got to do a really good job of practicing that in training. So just a couple of other little things. We'll talk more about this in another session, but if we've got two athletes, in this case a girl, just remember that there is a girl B, and what she wants is to be safe and comfortable, and what she wants is it for it to be easy, and she doesn't want to make mistakes. She lives in fear of that. She doesn't want to be embarrassed. She just likes to be happy and enjoying herself. And while she may be a great recreational cross-country skier and even go to recreational races, and she may even go to better races if she's got lots of skill. But what we know is there's another gear on the bike still. And when we put it on the big ring on that bike and we start cranking, we turn into girl A. And girl A, she likes to be uncomfortable. She knows that that's where the high performance state comes from. She likes it when it's a bit risky. She loves a challenge. She is happy to be suffering, failing, making mistakes, doing the difficult thing. There is such a huge difference between what is produced by girl B and by girl A. This girl improves very slowly. This girl improves really quickly. This girl makes more mistakes, and yet she improves way faster. Isn't that a remarkable thing? This girl worries about making mistakes, plays it super safe. As a result, improves very slowly. This girl has an optimal performance state that doesn't produce optimal performance. This girl has an optimal performance state that not only produces the highest levels of performance, but it also benefits her physically and physiologically as well. She's building more myelin on the nerve sheaths. She's toughening herself up. She's activating those energy systems. She's utilizing all of the things that she needs to in order to continue to grow and develop as an athlete. And she's building herself into a mental performance state that just says, it's not about anybody else. It's about me and about what I'm willing to do in this training session in order to make myself better. Or what am I willing to do in this race to get myself a personal best? That's what she's after. Last thing for today is another saying that I learned years and years and years ago, which I still enjoy today, and that is that your skills do not abandon you. What happens is you abandon your skills. They're all still there. They're ready to be put to use, and you've just got to find the best mental state in order to do that. A lot of the times we see athletes performing very mediocrely, and some little thing snaps, and then all of a sudden we see high performance. The high performance state was always available. They just didn't have the right mental state in order to get there. So that's it for today. Hopefully that's helpful. Hope you're all doing great, training hard and enjoying life, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.